Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are, how you might be listening. Thank you for making this part of your day. I am Justin alongside Alexander.
Hello.
And we are the hockey podcast that you're about to hear. And remember, doors work both ways, unless you're playing Skyrim. Yeah, so today we'll be doing another heated opinion segment. Kind of some random ramblings and musings about what's going on in the league. A rough month in review kind of thing, if you will.
Very rough month in review.
Yeah, very rough month. So, anything you wish to start us off on, or anything jumping out, catching your attention?
The roughest part of the month is being a Red Wings fan.
Yeah.
I mean, something about not winning in 8 games kind of has its way of
Yeah.
killing your enthusiasm,
Right, but
making you a fan of the rest of the league. So
Right.
I feel like there's other teams I'm following maybe closer than my typical homerness.
those
But,
girlfriend teams, as the podcast says, kind of thing, or
Yeah, you almost need like a lot of girlfriend teams. Like I kind of got to play the field at this point because it's rough.
I'll take anybody.
Yeah,
Please.
Yes, yeah. So no, it's just been nice to follow some other teams and some other stories than just your own team, and so I have more of a bigger appreciation, I think, this year for the league as a whole,
I can see that.
which is good. It just makes you want to watch more games than you should watch.
Hey, whatever gets you going. So,
Yeah.
well, I will say, I was pretty happy to see him beat the Oilers last night.
Yeah, that was wasn't really expecting that.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't really expect wins, no matter who we're playing. Like we can play Ottawa right now, and I'm not really going to expect to win.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ottawa fans.
Did we harp on them last time?
Devils, I think we'd beat the Devils though.
Yeah.
How about those Devils?
Ooh, man.
What do you think's going on there?
Well, I think part of it's they only played 9 games.
Okay.
But the other part of it is they still have 6 points, 2 wins, and 2 overtime.
So you've had 9 chances to win a game, and you've managed to do that twice.
Yeah, I think they're trending downward. That's for sure. Where did I have them?
I think as far as our picks from our season preview, I think we both had them right around the playoff bubble.
Let's see. Yeah, I had them 5th, around 90 95 points.
Yeah.
Might be a skosh high.
Yeah, unless they just go on a tear.
Pull the Blues and
You basically have to reverse what they've done already, and then still play that way the rest of the season. So it's yeah, it's amazing how quickly you can get behind.
yeah, it is.
Even just after like a month worth of play. And yeah, that's sure they've only played 9 games, and a lot of other teams have played 12, 13, 14 games.
Which is insane to me. I don't understand how that happens.
But even if they win half of those games miraculously, they're still not a very good team.
No, they're not.
So
They're really not.
I wonder if we put too much emphasis into new pieces clicking right off the bat.
Right, I can see that.
Because I can see where it's like, oh, well, it's Jack Hughes. He's going to be awesome. It's like, well, hang on, he's a rookie. He's going to have to figure out how to play at this level and with new players that he's never played with before. And
Growing pains.
same thing for Subban. Same thing for the guy coming over from Russia. It's like Nikita Gusev.
Mm-hmm.
His name slipped my mind for a moment. I could see where by mid-season, if they can keep this together, not fire a coach, not trade Taylor Hall to get something for him before his free agency, maybe they turn it around and they actually are playing really decent hockey. And it's like, oh, this is a team we thought we would see to start the year. It just took them half the year to get it figured out, and by then it might be too late.
Right.
Of course, I know this year everything's going to be like, well, who's in last place at the start,
Oh, yeah,
at the start of
Blues have the
January?
Blues.
Well, then I guess they could be a playoff team, so everybody has a chance.
Like a 1 in a million chance, but
Yeah.
so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yes. But no, I just yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
Alright, so who else is jumping at you as being a bottom dweller? And you didn't think they'd quite be the bottom dweller?
You know, I thought the Sharks would be a much better team than they've been.
Yep.
While at the same time, I'm not floored by the fact that they haven't been stellar. Just because I've had some issues with that team, and they lost some stuff in the offseason, and I don't feel like they did a whole lot to get better, and so it's hard to say, well, if you didn't get better and the league teams around you did, you're probably not going to be as good a team as you were last year.
Yeah, I figured they'd take a step back, but I didn't figure it'd be quite this far.
You didn't think it'd fall down the stairs.
No, I mean, I'm not upset by that by any means. But, you know, lose a few teeth on the way, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a minus 16 goal differential right now.
Yeah, and it's hard to win games when you don't score more goals than your opponent.
Yeah.
John Madden taught me
I was
that
about to
many
say, I
years
think
ago.
John Madden had it right there.
Yeah.
Weird.
So yeah, that was quite surprising for me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's another team that, hey, they could turn it around. They have the talent there to throw together and play well, but if they lose one guy to an injury,
Oh, yeah.
it's going to spell the end of their season. I mean, they're that close to the edge. Like with the league as competitive as it is, you got to have all your guys going as often as you can if you want to be competitive night in and night out.
Right.
And
Well, of course, you're the Penguins, who are just doing it
Yeah.
somehow for some reason, in some ways.
we may talk about the Penguins, or I may just cry.
Or that might
two.
just be it. That might
But
be all we talk about. So.
It's not fair. You take any other team and take their second best player off, and they get better. That doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah. How do you feel as their second best player? Oh wait, the team's winning
Well,
lots without me.
You know what? Well, you know what it is. I mean, it's the second coming of Crosby, right? So,
He fought a dude. Yeah.
it's just like, well, he can work miracles. So,
Right.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
gue-
he's
I-
got one more.
yeah, I guess he can play the role of two people. He's just that amazing. But yeah, I don't understand how Pittsburgh has done what they've done.
Mm-mm.
But hey, props to him for doing it.
Right. Like I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Like I mean, beginning of mine, I said I'm not going to cut them out until they're out, and then those injuries happen. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to cut them out until they're out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then my question is, okay, so say Malkin gets healthy and comes back.
What if they start losing?
Yeah, what if they're not as high as they were? And it's like, what was the deal with that? So then
Some trade rumors start floating around.
yeah, or what if they play even better with Malkin back?
Ugh.
That would be trouble for the league.
Yeah, a little bit.
But we'll see. Time will tell. What did you think of Dallas's start to the season?
I'm alright. I'm okay with it. I had them right as a wild card team, so it still could happen.
And I know a lot of people were high on Dallas just because they had such a good postseason last year, and were just a one stop from Bennington away from winning the game and going to the Western Conference Finals. It's like, yeah, but I don't really feel shocked that they're not playing well. Just because last year the defense, particularly the goaltending, was so outstanding.
Right, covered up a lot of
problems, for sure. And then when you get to the point of, hey, we added Joe Pavelski. Hey, we added a 36-year-old center. This isn't working out quite the way we were hoping it would. And again, that kind of like we were talking about in New Jersey. You add some new pieces.
Right.
They don't just instantly click.
Yeah.
It takes time to build the kind of chemistry you need to play in the NHL at the level that it takes to win games.
Right. So, and apparently he was the glue holding San Jose together, so.
Must have been. Absolutely must have been. So, yeah, I guess I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Not shocked, but maybe surprised. But no, I would be surprised at this point if they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just because I think the conference that they're in, the division particularly that they're in, you're going to have a hard time leapfrogging the other teams in that division.
I would agree.
Because you're going to have to play them a lot.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go find a way to beat Colorado, to beat Nashville, to beat St. Louis.
Yeah. See here, 4 points behind St. Louis, and St. Louis has 2 games in hand. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. No, St. Louis has it pretty rough losing Tarasenko for the next 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's 5 months to evaluation.
Right.
Like,
it could be
they get to 5 months and be like, you're probably done for the year.
Yeah, we're shutting him down. He's done.
Yeah, and he was huge for them last year, January on. Like he was a big part of the stretch that made the playoffs, that won the cup. So maybe they can chase the Blues down, but I find it hard to believe that the Blues, still with all the experience and talent and whatnot that they have on that team, that they're going to fall apart and fall out of the playoff picture.
I would agree with that.
I don't see Nashville or Colorado falling apart out of the playoff picture, even though Colorado's hurting now.
Yeah, another team is like, oh yeah, lose a couple people. It's fine.
Yeah, and they're being very, very quiet as far as what's going on with Landeskog and why he's out.
So
It's lower body. It's like, oh, this is playoffs all over again.
Right.
Yep, they're injured. Yeah, something south of the waistline. Yep. that's
Lower
it.
body. That's fine.
Yep. Was he expected back? Not tomorrow.
His big
Oh,
toe
okay.
is hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He was practicing getting back on sides and bumped his knee.
Yeah. Right. He tripped a little bit. Tweaked
Yeah.
something.
So, yeah, I see him having a hard time. That Dallas getting into the playoffs, getting around those teams in their division, maybe fighting for a wild card if other guys aren't that good. But
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is odd, looking at the Pacific.
Yeah, that's one was my next point there.
Yeah, go for it.
Who saw 5 teams right now being in the playoffs from the Pacific
Uh-huh.
if the playoffs ended or started right now?
Uh-huh.
Who saw that coming? Not me.
Yeah, that's
I saw 1 and 1, but not both, and definitely not the teams I thought either. Well, one is. 2 are.
Well, I was wondering, like, even to start the season, it was going to be like, oh, well, somebody's going to make the playoffs winning the Pacific, like, in 3rd place, and somebody's going to be a wild card that had more points than the 3rd place Pacific team out of the Central.
Right.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think so either. Unless something drastic happens.
Which it could.
I mean, I wouldn't be too upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I kind of figured Vancouver, they're right about where I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit better than where I thought they'd be. Vegas is where about I thought they'd be.
Mm-hmm.
But the other 3 teams, Edmonton, Anaheim, and Arizona,
Yeah.
nowhere near where I thought they'd be.
Yeah, and then, like, what's interesting to me is that Arizona and Vancouver have played 2 or 3 less games than the guys that are currently leading the division, and they're
That's the
only
thing I'm looking at.
1 point or 2 points back from those teams. So, really, if they just win their next game, they're suddenly
In the mix.
in the playoffs if the playoffs ended or started today. It's the plus minus for Arizona and Vancouver that's just astounding. Like, so Vancouver's got to be losing the close games and then just blowing people out because they're a plus 15 right now. Like, that's impressive. They've done a really, really good job of building, and this maybe is to a point of, as we said with like New Jersey and Dallas, of new players coming in and taking a while to gel. It hasn't taken a while to gel in Vancouver because they brought in a bunch of new guys, and they're contributing right away, and they're playing really well right out the gate.
Say, if anything, it took Elias Peterson a little bit to get warmed up, but I think he's starting to go a little bit.
Yeah, and I somebody was talking about him, and he said that teams are playing him differently this year than last year, which is, again, why you see a lot of sophomore slumps, because now they've had a whole year of film, they've had a whole off-season of study to prepare for your game and the way you play and what you want to do, and take that away and make you do something else. He's still a player, though, of he has the skill to do the something else.
Right.
Once teams take away option A and B for him, he still has a whole bag of tricks on through probably the rest of the alphabet of, oh yeah, he's going to find other ways to score. And contribute, you know. I mean, he's not just a scorer. He distributes the puck. He's just very, very skilled. So that's been cool to see. I've kind of enjoyed watching some Vancouver games. Watching Quinn Hughes. By golly, he is so much fun to watch at wheel. I mean, he's just one of those defensemen. It's like he's taking it from the blue line all the way as far as he wants to go, and nobody does anything with him. He had a setup probably a couple weeks ago now, where he brought it all the way from the defensive zone, skated in next to the goal, went to go behind the goal, and passed it out in front to his teammate, who put it in.
Nice.
It's just kind of like
Easy peasy.
he took it 200 feet and let somebody else score. He's a defenseman.
Yeah.
He's a rookie,
Right.
and he's just out there making plays.
Very high hockey IQ right there.
Indeed, and I think he has replaced, I think it's Edler, as the defenseman on the power play, on the number 1 power play unit. Because Quinn was playing second power play unit, and I was watching him a couple nights ago, and he was out there with the first power play unit. And so I'm thinking,
Getting bumped up a little bit.
he's in a position to make some things happen. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Shift over to the east a little bit. What about Buffalo?
I don't understand.
I don't either.
Because I don't feel like they did anything in the off-season to change the team in any
They
drastic way.
Got a new coach.
Except
right?
coaching. So it's that kind of whole, like, Barry Trotz comes in, keeps the same players, and says, all right, now you're going to win
Right.
under my system.
Same thing last year with Bill Peters and the Flames. Came in and just turned them all around.
Yeah, it's like you don't need personnel, you need a different leader,
Right.
which is to see this, and honestly, last year Buffalo started out pretty good too.
Right. So kind of grain of salt with them right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a little bit. And I wonder what the team feels like in regards to that. Of like, well, sure, we're doing well right now, but we blew it last year, so
Yeah. See what happens.
I wonder if they're playing with a level of confidence as far as like, hey, we learned from last year, we're not going to do that this year, or if it's more of an insecurity of, well, great, we're playing right now, but boy, something fell apart last year, and that could happen again this year.
Let's not win 10 in a row, guys, because that was just awful.
Yeah, that was the worst thing we did last year. Was
Right.
win 10 in a row.
Yeah. They had a chance to pick up their goalie, Hutton,
Mhm.
in fantasy hockey, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Uh-huh.
And the next 2 games, he had shutouts. It's like, oh!
That'll learn you.
Yeah, but still, it's like, I just can't trust them.
Buy them while they're hot.
Exactly. Let's see, your Tampa Bay. What's going on with them, do you think?
You know, there's a part of me that says this team didn't get better in the offseason.
Mhm.
You know, I know they made some minor moves, but nothing too earth-shattering. It's not like they changed anybody in the top 2 lines or, you know, those kind of
Right.
things. I feel like maybe after last year, teams have figured out what they need to do to take them away. Maybe Columbus showed them how to do that in the playoffs.
Could be.
Hey, you know what? You play them physical and take away their space before they even leave the zone. I haven't watched Tampa Bay's games this year. I just don't have that kind of time as much as I would or wouldn't like to.
Right.
But no, it was surprising to see them struggle out the gate this much. When you feel like, boy, if there's one team that's going to come out just flying, ready to get this season on and over
Right,
with,
redo race last
Right,
year.
right.
Mhm.
But I also understand the talk that says, you know what, a little bit of adversity for them to start the season,
That'd be a good thing.
make them fight their way through December, January, February, and get hot towards the end. Maybe that's their route to the cup this year.
Hey, as long as you get in, anything can happen.
Yeah, good or bad.
So I know it's cliche, but it's proven true time and time again.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm just I'm not concerned with Tampa Bay.
Right.
Like there's other teams that have started slow that I'm concerned with. I'm not concerned with Tampa Bay because I don't see problems there.
There's other teams that started faster who are more concerned with than Tampa Bay.
Yes, like okay, if you said right now, who's going to finish higher,
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo or Tampa Bay?
Ugh. It'd be so hard to pick Buffalo.
It would be because like, no, Tampa Bay is going to figure it out. Buffalo's going to cool off. This is going to level out to the way we thought these teams were. And so as long as I'm still thinking that, I'm not concerned about Tampa Bay.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be 2 weeks before, the final wildcard spot. Yeah, they're fine. They'll make it. They'll get in. Nope.
Yeah, and you can play that game with teams in the Western Conference too.
Oh,
You'd be
yeah.
like, okay, well, I'll give you, let's just say Edmonton and Dallas.
Right.
Who do I think is going to finish higher? Is it possible that Edmonton can actually hold out the way that they've been playing with just 2 guys doing all the work? I don't think that's a season-long recipe for success. And so I'd be like, that'd be a toss for me, honestly.
Right.
That'd be a
Or do you
toss.
think Calgary will finish higher or Arizona will finish higher?
Ooh, that's that's tough.
I think for me, again, same thing. I don't know if I can trust Arizona because they've got on these good tears and good
Yeah.
runs,
Yeah.
and then find a way to trip over themselves.
You know what's interesting about Arizona is they brought in Phil Kessel, right?
Mhm.
He hasn't been the difference this year.
Yeah.
It's not like he's like changed their scoring lines or anything like that. He's playing fine.
Last year's James Neal.
I think they'll eventually get it figured out. I don't think guys have played with a guy like Phil Kessel in Arizona before. They haven't had somebody that has that top end talent, and so
That's fair.
I can see where Arizona could actually get better as the year goes on.
Their goaltending is pretty good too.
Their goaltending has been very good, yes. And so, yeah, I could see where you're the kind of team that we're going to play good defense, we're going to be opportunistic in scoring, and if we have to have a goal, we'll send Phil Kessel out there
Right. Give us a goal.
and put a hot dog behind the net and just say, go for it.
All right, it's yours if you get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I would, at this point, as odd as this is, I would actually take Arizona over Calgary to finish higher.
Mm-hmm.
They still
Yeah.
might both make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
But I would take Arizona to be higher.
So yeah, and the way Calgary's playing right now, it's so up and down.
Yeah.
One game they score 5, next game they score 1. So it's like
Struggling to find consistency.
Yes,
Yeah.
their goaltending's been pretty decent. They've led in some big numbers, but there's a lot of games where they've led in like 2 or 3, which is, in my opinion, that's a winnable game if you only led in 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with how well they were scoring last year. But
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 games they lost 2-1. So it's like,
Yeah. If you're at least competitive,
Mhm.
right? Then things can fall the other way the other half of the time.
right, exactly.
It's when you have a whole bunch of close games that you always find ways to lose those games that make you a losing team.
Uh-huh.
If you can be 50-50s on those, you're a playoff bubble team, and if you win most of those, you're a
Yep.
division winner. And that's how close the league is, right?
Yeah, it's an adage I've always heard is good teams find ways to win and bad teams find ways to lose.
Yep,
So it's
Yep.
just what you got to do.
definitely.
Yeah, I think they've won a couple that they shouldn't have won and gotten points in some they shouldn't have won and lost some that they definitely deserve to lose. But still early. 6-6-2. I don't think they're off to that great of a start last year,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just went on this incredible tear I think in November. So fingers crossed, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
So looking at, let's just say the Metropolitan, right?
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Washington still beating up on everybody, being a very, very good team and really kind of the class of the field out there? Carolina's playing well.
Yes,
And
they are.
they brought the Storm Surge back.
Yeah, which is interesting.
I mean, I call it Storm Surge light because they're not doing anything that's going to ruffle any feathers or potentially get anybody injured.
No jumping
or,
anymore.
Yes, yeah. It's lost some of the fun, but they at least still do it, and the fans still appreciate it, which is
Hey,
great.
That's what matters right there.
But I didn't think it'd be back.
I didn't either. Well, I think it's some Justin Williams last year said no,
Yeah.
but he's not there this year.
Yeah,
so
it's like, well, okay, well, you got to step away, then we're going to bring back your ideas.
Hey, all right,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's no, I mean, let's see here. I had them as a wild card team, so I mean,
Mm-hmm.
unless something weird happens, they should at least be a wild card team.
I think I had them second in the division behind the Islanders.
I think so.
But I also had Washington, missing the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll come back to that later on in the season when
Right.
we're taking our lumps. But,
Well, right now,
yeah.
I had Islanders first, Cap second. So I mean, that's not the Hurricanes fourth. So that's not too terrible. But again, like you said, it's early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
People will find ways to, soil the sheets, so to speak.
Right. What do you think about Columbus playing competitive hockey? Because I didn't think that they would be quite as decent as
Yeah.
they have been this year. I mean, they're still like a 500 team. They have 12 points in 11 games.
Yeah, I figured they have more losses than wins at this point.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of surprised by that. But maybe the success of that team wasn't just about 3 guys,
Right.
And so you still kept the core there, and they're playing together and they're playing with each other. And they still have some pretty good guys on defense. You still have Seth Jones and Werenski. So you have a solid top pairing. That might even be one of the best, probably I think one of the top 5 pairings in the NHL
Right.
defensively.
Yeah, they're 1 game behind Florida and 2 points behind Florida. So I
Mhm.
mean, game in hand, 2 points behind. That's about where you want to be. I didn't think they'd be this high.
Mm-hmm.
I had them finishing 7th in the Metro. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you watched Philadelphia play?
A little bit. I know Flames played them last week, but not much other than that.
I've watched Philadelphia for a little bit. They look fast.
They seem very streaky too.
Very, very streaky, very inconsistent. But they are a fast hockey team. Like, watching them just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The game was phenomenal to watch. And it was like, wow, I have not seen an overall team. It's like every line that was out there was quick.
Huh.
It was like, wow. And I don't know if it's just the style that they play, or the speed of the players, or the defense they were playing in those games. But they moved. Like, every time they touched the puck, there was like an aggressive move to the goalie at the opposite end. It wasn't just kind of like, all right, pass it back and forth. All right, let's bring it into the zone. All right, let's dump it in now that we're past the red line. Let's dump and chase.
Mm-hmm.
They were not about that at all. And it was really, really fun to watch as a neutral party.
Right, yeah. See, that's the fun thing about depending on playoff matchups and stuff, if you're not invested, it's great.
Absolutely.
It's when the teams you hate are playing. That's what it's like.
Yeah, when you kind of got to get beat down by watching somebody you don't like win a lot of games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or watch the team that beat you advance and then advance again. It's like,
True.
mm.
Toronto this year,
Mhm.
and Toronto draws a lot of attention because it's Toronto,
Right.
and it seems to be the biggest hub of Canadian hockey.
Seems to
And
be the only team in Canada.
Canada is the only country of hockey,
Right.
so it makes sense that it's the biggest team in the biggest country in that sport, which is fine. How do you think their year is going?
About how I figured.
Right.
I had them being as a wild card team, so I mean, right now they're third in the Atlantic. I mean, yeah, about how I figured.
Yeah.
Not great, not terrible.
Yeah, and I feel like they are playing in a way that might actually benefit them in the playoffs.
Right.
Because I don't think they wanted to come out. Well, maybe they wanted to come out and do this, but maybe they're not. Is let's go score 7 goals a game. Let's do what Tampa Bay did last
Well,
year.
that's what the fans wanted.
Yeah, and one, Babcock isn't that kind of coach. You're not going to see that, because in order to see that, you're going to play Marner's Matthew Tavares when he's healthy, 20 plus 23 minutes a night.
Right.
Not quite to the McDavid Draisaitl numbers in like the mid 20s, like 24, 25 minutes a night that those forwards are getting, which is ridiculous, but very, very entertaining because McDavid is extremely entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
My goodness, it's like a video game.
Yeah.
He's absolutely just a video game, which is phenomenal. But there's no way he can maintain that a whole year.
No.
Oh, and certainly not an entire career. So they're going to have to find other ways to score goals in Edmonton.
Oh yeah. I mean, almost like a repeat of Colorado last year, but Colorado did pretty okay. So.
Yeah, and what's scary about Colorado is they have more lines now that are scoring. I think they're even getting scoring from the third line
I think so.
on a consistent basis. It's like, my goodness, this team is going to be a juggernaut for years. Because they got some guys that signed some pretty good contracts for a long time.
Very friendly.
It's like, wow. I would say the next 3 years in Colorado are going to be some really, really good hockey teams.
Definitely have something to be excited about if you're an Avs fan.
Absolutely. Currently this year, though, something to be excited about is if you're still a Boston fan.
Yep.
Because they, with that perfection line, continue to find a way to beat teams over and over again. They have lost once this year. One outright loss.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
It's not fair.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how these guys do that, and unless we're just saying, look, they're just really, really good, more than just the perfection line. Is they're good all over the place, and those guys are just undervalued league-wide goes because they play in Boston, and Boston's just a really good team. It's like, I don't get it. But they are just...
You think they're running out of steam at some point? Especially going to the Cup last year?
I don't think so, because I think what they've... Like, last year they learned how many games Rask needs to play.
Okay.
And so they are playing well while managing his time. So they're splitting pretty good between their two goaltenders, him and Halak. And as long as you have a healthy, fresh, good goaltender every night, you have a shot at winning.
Does wonders.
And they kind of have a 1A, 1B.
Which is also amazing.
Which is like, some teams have a 2A and 2B on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys have two goaltenders that are worth playing every night.
Yeah.
So I feel like they would have a no issue carrying this through the whole season. I don't necessarily know that Pasternak's going to continue playing the way that he's playing, because he's leading the league in points right now, I believe. Is he leading in goals as well, or is it just points?
Let me check.
I think he's both.
Points is David Pastrnak at 24.
Okay.
Followed closely behind by John Carlson with 23.
That's a surprise.
And yes, goals, Pastrnak at 12, and Ovi and Matthews with 11.
Okay. Well, what about John Carlson?
I'm excited. I have him on my fantasy team, so yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Good
I'm
picks
pretty
by you, I
excited.
guess.
Right?
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
and I know this is more and more a league where we let the defensemen shoot more, and
he's
we
getting
don't
more
ask them to play as much
assists.
defense. He's distributing and he's scoring
Yeah.
at really, really high rates.
16 assists, same as Connor McDavid, tied for first place.
But the thing is, with 16 assists, he still has 7 goals as a defenseman.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm curious. I don't have the stat in front of me if he leads defensemen in goals, but I would almost think you'd have to at that point.
I think so.
I can't think of a defenseman that scores 7 goals on any of the teams that I follow in a year.
Right? Say, next on assists, next closest defenseman is. Where'd he go? 13th.
Wow.
All of them are forwards until number 13. And then,
Now,
let's see.
when you play on the top power play line with Ovechkin, you have a chance for that. When you have the talent that's around Washington, you always have the opportunity to get a lot of assists.
Mhm.
But by golly, this just seems like way more than I would ever expect.
Yeah, he's tied for 9th with 7, with Brad Marchand and Jack Eichel and Mark Stone and Jake Gunetzel and Mantha and Oshie, Kane and blah, blah, blah. Some other people. Like, quite a long list. The next closest defenseman is 21 at 6. I mean, so just one behind. Dougie Hamilton for Carolina.
Dougie Hamilton's having a good year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll
For-
see.
Well, yeah, we'll see how long it lasts and how long it takes him to do something stupid. And...
Yeah, probably not very long.
Okay.
Yeah, usually his offensive upside is amazing, but his defensive upside is sketchy.
Mhm.
He'll get beat a couple times a game and then take a stupid penalty to kind of make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, oh no, the guy got around me, trip. Oh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
All right, cool. So, but, it's all right.
So if you have Pasternak, Ovechkin, and Matthews at 12, 11, and 11 right now,
Mm-hmm.
who do you think wins the Rocket Richard Trophy this year? Most goals in a season. I mean, you have Draisaitl, James Neal just right behind those guys at 10. Then you have Shen, Lindholm, Henry. Not names that you would expect to be at the top of the goal scoring list. You're thinking it's probably one of those 3 guys there right now, maybe Draisaitl, just given the way that Edmonton's going to have to win. It's going to have to be him and McDavid seems to be more of the setup guy, creating his own breakaway chances, but
Mhm.
otherwise drawing a lot of attention and dishing the puck to Draisaitl seems to be a big thing, especially in overtime.
Yeah,
That's really been the way that they win. If they go to overtime, that's how they win games.
good to know.
Which I think hopefully the whole league would know. But
Yeah, well, it's like the Obi setting up his office. You know what's going to happen. Just,
yeah, and it's
eh.
I know there's talk of him chasing down Gretzky,
Yes.
right? And it's going to take another 4 years of like 50 goals a season.
See, 4 years
to get there.
minimum.
Yeah, because he's like 230 behind him or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got 12 this year, so he's probably a little bit closer than
He's at a good
last time
pace.
we thought about
Mhm.
it. Which he doesn't have to, on the power play, skate around and expend a lot of energy.
No.
And he can just kind of move in this spot, move in this spot, move in this spot, and still find ways to make it work. And then sometimes teams still sometimes forget that he's out there, even just 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Because I saw one of he got the puck like 20 feet in front of the goaltender, got it on his stick, looked at the goaltender, smiled, lit a cigar, snapped a shot into the corner. It was like, wow. Like, just the confidence that he shoots with is ridiculous.
Oh, and the accuracy. I mean,
Yes.
just laser beam. Phew.
And it's just like every time he shoots, he expects it to go in.
Mhm.
Which is just scary for a guy that's done this for this long to still be this good.
Right. The thing I admire is his reaction every time he scores a goal. You'd think it'd be his first goal in the league.
You know, because any goal could be your last goal, so you
I
might
know.
as well celebrate it.
So, I mean, that's one thing I truly admired about him because, a lot of people are like, another goal, whatever. But he's like, yes!
Yeah. Well, and if you're chasing Gretzky, then every goal is important at this point. Like, don't review
That's
that.
very
Don't you
true.
call that back.
No.
Don't tell me you tipped that.
Right? What?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah.
You're supposed to get out of the way, not in the way.
Right. Goaltending this year, there have been some talk of some guys that we thought would be better, or some people thought would be better, that have not really been outstanding.
Yeah.
Are there any goaltenders that have stuck out to you as being maybe less than expected?
Oh, yeah, there is. Who is it?
There's one team that we didn't talk about. Well, there's several teams we didn't talk about so far. One of them being the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
And
Flames dropped 5, 6 on him the other night. 5 on him and 1 in the shootout. Yeah. I mean, that was just insane. Yeah, I thought he'd be a little better. I think. Who is it for the Lightning? Is it Vasilevsky? Who rolled him off for the Lightning?
Vasilevsky.
Yeah, I think he's off to a little bit rougher start than expected.
Mm-hmm.
Marc-Andre Fleury is currently ranked 11th at goals against. Not what I was expecting. I thought he'd be a little bit higher up the chain. What about you?
What do Pekka Rinne's numbers look like this year?
He's got a 1.74 goals against, which is good for third. So close behind second. Like, Thatcher Demko for Vancouver is 1.73.
Exactly.
And the save percentage, he's third again.
Yeah. And I feel like this happens every year where there's some guys that we didn't think would be good that suddenly have a great year, and guys that we expect to be good fell off the train.
Right.
And that's happening again this year. I know historically Bobrovsky does not have good numbers in October. He starts slow.
This is true.
I know he has still a good team in front of him. He doesn't have the Tampa Bay Lightning in front of him.
Right.
He has a team that's still probably learning Coach Quenneville's system and is still figuring out where their new pieces fit because they got a lot of new pieces in the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
And so as this team, I'm not going to say they're struggling because it's not like people were expecting them to be like 8-2-2 right now.
Right. I mean, they're still second in wild card.
They are.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
so they're still right around bubble team. So this team can get better. It will not get better until Bobrovsky gets better.
Correct.
Because you can't be giving up. Oh, shoot, I think the other night he gave like 4 goals in the first period to Vancouver.
Something like that.
You can't play that way.
No.
Not long term.
No.
And yeah, it's been a rough month for Bobrovsky. And what you're paying him, you have to keep putting him out there.
Right. Well, just bench him. No.
Yeah.
Don't think so.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh yeah, he's his numbers are worse than the backup guy. Goals against average, 3.79.
That's not what you want from a $10 million Vezina Trophy winning playoff caliber goaltender.
Yeah. Their backup's at 2.8. I mean, not stellar, but not bad for a backup.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we were getting 2.8 out of either of our goalies in Detroit, we'd have won like 5 more games.
Right.
So, no, I don't see this year being what everybody hoped would be for Florida. Granted, they can get better. They can continue to gel and get hot. But you're only going to go so far as your goaltender.
Yeah, I had them as a 3rd seed out of the Atlantic, so...
No, watch. What will happen is they will play mediocre all year, but just enough to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then Bobrovsky, who's had this terrible year, gets hot, like Jones did for San Jose.
Or Mike Smith did for Calgary.
To where it's just kind of like, oh, we've got by all year without great goaltending. Now it's the playoffs. Now we have great goaltending, and we still have the rest of the team that's playing well.
Wait, we're playing hockey? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you guys tell me? Okay, sure.
So, yeah, we'll see. And maybe some is just the pressure of having that big of a contract and that amount of expectations, you know? I know for me, if somebody, tripled my salary, I would probably feel a lot more weight to be worth that salary.
Yeah.
And maybe not everybody's good under that pressure.
Right. But just tell them to calm down a little bit. And
which, considering I feel like we've had maybe some questions about Bobrovsky's mental strength at different points in his career. Maybe. I don't know the guy. Haven't talked to him. Probably never will.
Right.
But if I did, that would be my first question for him. Are you mentally tough? Or are you just a weakling?
Yeah.
I don't think you would. I don't think I get a second question.
I don't think so either. Two more questions.
Second question would be, "Hey, where are you going?"
Hello.
Yeah.
So let's see here. James Neal just got number 11.
Oh, okay.
So
That's exciting.
power play goal set up by Draisaitl McDavid, of course.
Well,
So yeah, it kind of goes back to what you were saying there.
that's how McDavid, or that's how Neil has scored his goals. Is hey, I'm on second line. Okay, this is fun. This is fun. Hey, I'm on the first power play. There's my goals.
Which that was a lot of speculation last year that I agreed with is with Calgary. They had so much front end talent. They put him on the third and fourth line, so he's getting crappy passes from third and fourth line guys, and he's used to these nice crisp plays and good setups and stuff, and he wasn't getting that, which floors me. I'm like, you should have at least tried to find him. But look at the numbers last year. The first two lines definitely made sense for how they were set up for Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, as we head towards the end of the podcast here, I had a question for you.
All right.
What do you think of the current system of overtime in the NHL?
I wish there was longer
Regular
3 on
season.
3. I wish 3 on 3 went on 7.5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because I feel sometimes some of those games, you only need 30 more seconds or a minute to decide what's going on.
Right.
I mean, some of those games will go the full 10 minutes and nothing will happen, and then shootout.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I feel like a lot more will be decided in 7.5 minutes. I mean, the shootout's okay. You know, I usually turn on the game if it's going to overtime. Turn up the sound, all that stuff. And then if it goes to shootout, I'll mute it and start watching something else.
I'll go to a different game.
Yeah,
I'll be
exactly.
like, well, there's another game that has 4 minutes left and the team's down by 1. I'll watch that instead of a shootout.
And then just check 5 minutes later who wins shootout.
Yeah. Or
I mean,
10 minutes later or however long it takes. Because you got to scrape the ice, and then shootouts just seem to take a while.
Yeah, especially if nobody can score, if it's just tied 1-1.
Yeah, they're not exciting.
No.
They're really not.
I think they're too frequent to be exciting. I think if they only happened 5 times per team a year,
Sure.
then it'd be like, oh, right, shootout, let's go. But there's probably at least one every night, if not.
There's a
one
lot of
every other
overtime, and a lot of overtimes go to shootouts. I think we didn't have that when they first brought in the 3-on-3. I think teams have learned more and more how to play 3-on-3
Yes.
defensively to make it last all 5 minutes. And here's my proposal. Well,
Sure.
I have a couple of proposals. One would be enough of this 3-point game to where the winner gets 2 and the guy that loses in overtime gets 1.
Yeah.
You go to overtime and whoever wins gets 2 points. Whoever loses gets no points.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would even be in favor of a tie system to where if we play overtime and neither of us win, we each get 1 point.
Right, yeah.
Here's what that might do. You may pull your goaltender in overtime.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
exciting.
like, wait, we each have a guaranteed point. We're 3-on-3 at the other end. We can go 4-on-3 right now and try and end this thing.
Or if you pull a penalty.
Because, like, give teams a reason to go for the extra point as opposed to this is going to end in a tie, we're going to get 1. Well, if we go for the win right now, and then it's a battle between coaches of, okay, well, who's going to pull their goalie and try and win this game and get the 2 points, and who's going to just be content with, nope, we'll each take a point and call it good.
Right. See, another thing I thought of to kind of add on to that is instead of giving 2 points for regular season, or for a regulation win, give 3 points. And then if it goes to overtime...
That would change the point system substantially.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to canose all previous
correct.
regular season records.
Correct. But then, when you go to overtime, the winner still gets 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
And the loser gets 1 point. But then, if it's tied up with a minute left to go, do you want to try for the full 3 points?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to settle for 2, maybe 1?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to lose a point if you don't win in regulation.
Roll some dice.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that... Because some games I see, there's just no urgency in the last, minute. They're just playing, okay, we're just going to kind of camp out behind the goalie, and then skate up, and then pass it back. If that extra point's riding on the game...
Now, one thing I wish I had a way to look this up to find out what happened without taking a lot of time. Last night, Capitals beat Toronto in overtime.
Correct.
I watched the game-winning goal in overtime.
Okay.
It was a 5-on-4 power play.
What?
And so I don't know how that worked to get to the point where there were 5-on-4 in a 3-on-3. Because I know, okay, well, if two guys take penalties, that you can end up 4-on-4 sometimes in overtime, and then maybe somebody takes a penalty, and therefore, okay, well, now we go from 4-on-4 to 5-on. It was weird. I didn't understand, but watching the replay, it's like, oh, well, there's 5 Capitals out there, and there's 4 Maple Leafs out there.
That's really weird.
So it was strange to me. I'm not sure how that happened, but this is my closing idea for overtime.
Okay.
3-on-3 overtime till somebody wins.
Okay. So no shootout period.
No shootout period. No clock.
Okay.
It's the overtime period. You will continue to roll lines and play until somebody wins this game.
So kind of like more like a playoff setup, except 3-on-3.
There will be no commercial breaks. There will be no nothing. It's okay, face off again. Okay, face off again. And you play the way until somebody wins. Because what's going to happen is somebody's going to win that game.
Someone's going to get tired.
You're not going to play 3-on-3 for more than probably 10 minutes.
That's what
would
I
be my
think.
guess. But then at least, if you have it, okay, well, let's just make it a 10-minute period of overtime.
Same thing.
Then you'll get to like 2.5 minutes left. And it's like, okay, we're exhausted. Now both teams are just playing for the shootout.
Right.
And I want teams playing to win the game until the game is over. I think that would be very entertaining.
I agree. And then you have people say, oh, the players have played all these extra minutes. Blah, blah, blah.
Score a goal, you don't have to play extra minutes.
Exactly.
Let in a goal, you don't have to play extra minutes.
Exactly.
Don't go to overtime, you don't have to play extra minutes.
Win in regulation.
Yes. Take care of business in 60. You don't have to go play an infinite amount of time. And now I know there will be some game at some point where they went like 25 minutes before somebody scored, and they're like, we can't have this. Our guys are
Or somebody gets hurt in the 17th
Or somebody
minute.
gets hurt. Yes. And there's part of me that says, well, if somebody gets hurt in 3-on-3 overtime, when are you going to say, okay, no more overtime, just go straight to a shootout and end the game?
Ugh, that'd be awful.
Which is awful.
3-on-3 overtime is the best.
No. And think of the excitement in a game knowing that we're not going to go to a shootout.
Yes.
There is going to be another goal scored in the regular season. Like, you can create excitement in an overtime game in the regular season that kind of exists in the playoffs differently than it does in regular season.
Right.
You're like, well, shoot, I don't want to turn away because somebody could score at any moment, especially in 3-on-3.
Oh, yeah.
You can be at one into the other in 10 seconds.
Oh, easy.
You don't have time to grab another slice of pizza.
Yes.
And I think it would make it much, much more entertaining.
I would agree with that.
So,
I would agree, 100%. So,
Mr. Bettman, if you are listening,
yes, as
you
we know
can
you
give
are.
me a call.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to talk to you.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, anything else before we wrap this up?
It's been about a good month of hockey.
It
Lots of
has.
entertaining stuff. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, same here. So we'll see what happens the next month or so, and fingers crossed. So this is Justin alongside Alexander. Hey, and this is the Hockey Podcast you're about to hear, which you just did. So thanks for listening, and we'll check you later.